Hey everyone, today I'm going to give a quick overview of the setup of my terrarium. It houses Dendrobates auratus, bronze and blue dart frogs. I've had these frogs for almost 4 years now. They've produced tons of offspring, so I think that they've really enjoyed their time that I've had them. They seem quite healthy. And I'm going to show you a little bit about how I did it. I also really like my plants that I have going on here. There's good humidity, good light access, and I think that they've really kind of thrived and grown a ton. I can put in some images of what it looked like when I planted it and what it looks like now, and yeah, they've really grown quite a bit. So I'll start at the top. Up here I have a max spec RX 150 LED light. This is actually kind of designed for saltwater aquariums, but I've found it quite successful for this terrarium. So I use pretty much near the peak right now. These are the channel settings. A is blue and white, B is just pure blue, C is like near UV, and D is more reds and warm whites. So those are the settings that I have it at. It peaks right around now for about an hour at that intensity, and then it drops a little bit. I cut the UVs out, and then I think it's on like a 13-hour schedule. Recently I've had an orchid start flowering, producing a flower spike. As you can see there, it's growing quite well. It's my Tolumnia Jarak flyer ghouls. So next below the light I have a polycarbonate lid. This is important that it's not plexiglass, it's polycarbonate. Plexiglass warps a ton, and I've tried making plexiglass lids before and they deform so much. I really dislike it. This, if I were to do it again, I'd go a little thicker. This is 1/8 of an inch thick polycarbonate. I would do a 1/2 inch, or a 1/4 inch, sorry, or a 1/4 inch or thicker, because I found that the edges do slightly pull up a little bit, and since I'm feeding fruit flies to my dart frogs, it's pretty annoying because they can escape near the edges, which is why I have this plastic wrap kind of covering the corners. Doesn't look the best. Eventually I may upgrade the lid to a 1/4 inch or thicker, just because it's pretty annoying to have this plastic wrap there. I have, just so my cats don't go inside of it, I have Velcro holding down the lid. And then I've drilled in a few air vents. Let's see if I can get a top-down view. So I put the duct tape on there just to make sure the edges were sealed and nothing was coming out. No fruit flies or anything like that. And on this one, I actually installed a computer fan. I don't really run it at all. But if I wanted to, go a little more advanced in the future, I was thinking, maybe get an auto mister, and then to prevent too much water accumulating, I could kind of have this on a timer as well. But I haven't really found that I needed it, so I have it there in case it's too humid and I want to, decrease the humidity a little bit, get some airflow in there, but pretty comfortable with the way things are. So let me see. Try opening up the terrarium lid. I have it on the ground because I just moved into this apartment and I still don't have a stand for it, which I find pretty annoying. Trying to do this one-handed is also a little interesting. So on the inside, I've got a collection of orchids. I'll probably do a little bit of a video just on those in the future, but I've got main structure in here is a large piece of cork bark. Runs almost the entire length of the terrarium. The actual glass itself, this is a 40-gallon breeder, which I'm actually in Canada, but I brought it up from PetSmart in the States. They had the $1 a gallon sale that they do once a year, twice a year. So yeah, I've got this big cork. Below that for the substrate, I've just got regular old potting mix. There is some perlite inside of it. I've read quite a lot about impaction risks, and I actually worried quite a bit that I was gonna hurt my frogs by having perlite in their medium, but I covered it up with some. I removed some of what I could manually, which certainly doesn't get everything. I put a little bit of sphagnum moss and a little bit of perlite free media that I had on top of it, and then I put some leaf litter, mostly Indian like almond leaves, on top as well. But I certainly didn't cover all of it, and I'm not advocating to do it, but just documenting my experiences. I haven't had any issues with the frogs. They've been in here for quite a while now. Yeah, feed the frogs about once every 4 days. Keep some, apple cores in there just to keep the fruit flies inside. Although they love to bunch up on leaves and tops of stems. Yeah, most of these plants are just, from regular plant shops or hardware centers, but, I've got a few orchids. And one nepenthes. Yeah, got a little coconut hut. Let's see if I can find one of the frogs. Typically like to hang out under these coconut huts. Anyone in here? No, not right now. I've got 2 water baths for the frogs. I really like it. You can see that there's a tadpole in this one. I'm not entirely sure what I will do with him, because I'm no longer selling. I used to pull eggs, and I had tons and tons and tons of babies that I would sell, but I'm not really set up for that right now, because after I moved, I kind of dismantled that equipment that I had for raising those young ones until they were ready to be sold. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that tadpole, but I'm sure I'll figure it out. For hydration, misting, I've got a glass bottle sprayer and then some distilled water that I get. I go through this very slowly. This will last me about 2 months. If I was running the fan, I would definitely go through that a lot quicker, but I really haven't found any reason to do that. All of my plants are growing pretty well. I haven't had any die-offs. Yeah, so they've really haven't had any issues. The frogs seem happy. I make sure it's always pretty humid, but if I had more ventilation, I feel like I would just kind of be wasting some of that distilled water that I have to purchase, because I don't have a reverse osmosis set up at home. In my last video I showed the flower spike of this Tulumnia. Just give you a little update. It's probably tripled in size since that last video. Yeah, it's doing pretty well. I'm really excited for this to flower. Should be a very pretty hot pink, kind of reddish purple color. Yeah, I'll do a full video on the different plants that I have in here in the future, but yeah, for this I just wanted to show kind of the equipment setup and how I run things. Yeah, last thing, it's not plugged in, but I do have a heat pad in the back here. Stays pretty warm where I'm at right now, but in the past I've lived in places where it gets a little much colder. I was in northern Winnipeg for a while, or northern Manitoba for a while. Well, not that far north for all the people that actually live up there, but about 3 hours north of Winnipeg. So there it was, there were some really cold times, and that heating pad was pretty key. Yeah, frogs are hiding right now. They love it in here with all this vegetation. But they're super pretty, and I'll try to show some pictures of them as well. Alright, thanks for watching.